World underneath. 9. No morning. Chapter 1. Crush. Does my baby face make me look a bit green? Yvonne pushes a patient to radiology when she spots Grayson muttering to himself, his image reflected in the elevator's polished steel. Thank goodness Dr. Zane's out. Otherwise, you'd be in for a lecture. Dr. Zane's been busy catching up on work since his Mount Eternal trip. No time to micromanage. Grayson eyes the patient in the wheelchair. His leg is wrapped in a specialized cast for wanderer infections. The guy is glued to his phone and doesn't appear to be an average patient. Hunter? The man lifts his wrist and reveals an information band. Grayson scans it with the hospital's internal system app. He gets a result: Arctic Hunter. The patient had received a traumatic injury during the battle and was briefly exposed to a high volume of metaflux. After going through post-treatment at the Arctic Trauma Center, the panel of experts flagged him for a procedure at Lincoln's ASCO Hospital. The hunter in the wheelchair grumbles impatiently. What's with this kidnapping routine? When am I getting out of here? It's just a minor injury. Besides, the Arctic is a mess. We're already short-staffed as it is. You dragged me all the way out here. It's standard protocol, and it's for your own good, Yvonne replies with a shrug. Grayson nods. Based on their limited interactions with hunters, mostly through Dr. Zane's special cases, they understood that these individuals prioritize missions over everything else. This is especially true for the Alpha team, for whom a recommendation for further examination is but a suggestion. Grayson remembers something and decides to change the subject. By the way, I'm curious. What do hunters do on their days off? The Arctic hunter continues scrolling through his phone, determined to shut Grayson down with one quick retort. Get wheeled around for checkups? But Grayson isn't giving up that easily. Then, do hunters have any hobbies they share? The hunter finally looks up, scrutinizing Grayson's earnest expression with a hint of confusion. Then, as if a light bulb goes off in Yvonne's head, she exclaims, Grayson, don't tell me you have a crush on... Grayson scratches his head sheepishly and coughs, as if his throat had become very itchy. The elevator bell dings. Yvonne, understanding the situation, pushes the hunter out of the elevator. Grayson quickly follows. What are you following me for? I haven't gotten my answer from the hunter yet. The medical examination briefing for the Hunters Association is about to start. Being a couple minutes late won't hurt. Dr. Zane's already there. What? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why would Dr. Zane be at this meeting? Grayson quickly turns and rushes to the elevator. His body is already inside, but his eyes are fixed on the Arctic hunter, desperate for an answer. He doesn't even care if he's blocking the elevator door in a way that almost screams, "Don't try this stunt at home, kids." Punching wanderers. Grayson's heart sinks. He purses his lips in disappointment and lets out a sigh as the elevator doors close. Chapter 2. Sustenance. By the time Grayson reaches the conference room, Dr. Zane is reviewing a case file with Dr. Wu from the Division of Evol and Protocol Medical Technology. Just as Grayson is about to greet him, Dr. Zane stands up and leaves the room. A trail of icy air is left behind. Stop by my office after the meeting. Grayson nods and finds a seat. It's just a regular briefing about the annual event where the Hunters Association's health center partners with ASCO Hospital to conduct comprehensive medical examinations on hunters. This ensures the effects of metaflux and protocore energy on their bodies remain within manageable limits. Grayson's mind, however, drifts elsewhere. It replays a scene where an injured person's heartbeat is brought back to life in his hands, and the girl smiles at him against the backlight. The wanderers behind her burst like fireworks, their light echoing the blossoming warmth in his heart. His phone buzzes, pulling him back to reality. Yvonne had sent him a message. "Hey, regarding your Hunter girl, why not take the cue from Dr. Zane? He's so close with Miss Hunter. You know that saying her name turns him into a softie?" Grayson shivers at the thought of Dr. Zane's reaction if he asked something like, "Dr. Zane, how did you pursue Miss Hunter?" "It's not that I don't want to, it's that I don't dare," Grayson thought. After the meeting, Grayson walks to Dr. Zane's office at a slower pace this time. To ask or not to ask, that's the question. "Dr. Zane, I'm here." As he enters the office, a refreshing, cool fragrance reaches him. Dr. Zane, who is currently reviewing a file, has a slight frown on his face. It's a common sight when faced with a patient's challenging medical condition. There's a type A cryoxenia implant surgery scheduled for the day after tomorrow. Get ready. Grayson takes the file, which belongs to the Arctic hunter he met earlier. The metaflux reaction in the patient's leg wound exceeds the reference limit and cannot be completely removed. Medical imaging results show that the residual metaflux has entered the bloodstream. A cryoxenia must be implanted as soon as possible to prevent the metaflux from affecting the patient's heart even more. It could lead to a powerful surge, and he was still yelling about being discharged when I saw him this afternoon. We'll be performing 2 surgeries back to back, so it'll take a while. You can skip the Hunters Association medical examination tomorrow and get some rest. Grayson nods, then shakes his head. "I'll be fine. The association medical examination is always a breeze, just like a day off." Dr. Zane doesn't stop writing. His gaze from behind the glasses meet Grayson's for a moment. It's followed by a soft, That sounds suspiciously meaningful to Grayson. Grayson responds with an awkward, Staring at the desk, he tries to change the subject. "What a fascinating flower. Those buds look like tiny little snowballs. Is it for Miss Hunter?" Grayson curls his finger and reaches for a small potted plant with white buds nestled in snow. It's on Zane's desk. "It's a little droopy. Don't touch it." Zane's pen smacks Grayson's knuckles. Startled, he pulls back his hand. Realizing his attempt at a conversation has failed, Grayson shifts to another topic. "Dr. Zane, you're more than inspirational. You're not only my mentor in my specialty, but also the guiding light for my life's journey. A teacher for a day, and for... Who do you have a crush on now?" Zane, with a stack of documents, heads to the filing cabinet. Grayson follows closely behind. "Not really. It's just a budding feeling, Hunter." "Dr. Zane, you're always so perceptive. You want to get to know her, but you don't know how to break the ice." "Exactly. I don't want to bother her during her work, and I also don't know how to talk to her outside of work." "Dr. Zane, how did you and Miss Hunter become friends?" "Our situation is unique. It's not a fair comparison." Of course. I'm not asking for a roadmap. I'm just curious about the lives of Hunter's loved ones." Zane settles back into his chair and clasps his hands together. He lets out a soft sigh. It's similar to the expression he wore on Grayson's first day, when he couldn't answer a question during his rounds. "Can you tell jokes?" "What?" Grayson is completely baffled. Jokes? How could Dr. Zane's dry humor, the kind that would make a cricket chirp, possibly get him a girlfriend? Looking at Zane's eyes, Grayson tries to discern whether this is genuine advice. But all he sees is a cold glint reflected in Zane's glasses. Well, maybe hunters have a unique sense of humor. I'll give it a shot. Grayson lingers in the office. he turns back as if on the verge of asking a question. Then, catching a glimpse of snowflakes swirling in Zane's palm, he watches them land in a flower pot. The previously wilted stem seems to come alive, and the bud raises itself as if being gently awakened. His fingertips traces across the sepals, caressing them like a beloved's face. It's a rare sight. Zane, ever stoic and resting glacier-faced to his patients, has a glint of a smile tracing his lips as he looks at the flower. Guessing question time is over. Grayson turns back around and exhales. There has to be more to it than just telling jokes if Dr. Zane's able to charm Miss Hunter. Chapter 3. In the Shadows. The next morning, Grayson hums cheerfully as he enters the cafeteria with his breakfast tray. Yvonne, in the middle of biting a piece of bread, looks up in surprise. Today, Grayson is wearing a sharp navy blue three-piece suit with a tie. His lab coat is nowhere to be found. Men. Swallowing her food, Yvonne speaks as if she isn't new to the games that guys play. It's better to be prepared and not panic. That's the key, right? What if she notices me during the medical examination today? Grayson digs into his yogurt. But a sudden, almost jarring alarm cuts through the chatter. Metaflux leak in the northern suburbs. Exposure level 5. Grayson shoves a piece of bread in his pocket and sprints for the rooftop helipad. A rescue helicopter lifts off, and Zane's figure disappears behind the fuselage doors. Zane is always one step ahead in emergencies. Grayson leaps into another helicopter that was prepared. Inside the cramped fuselage, he and another doctor scramble to change the protective gear, their eyes occasionally glancing at the northern suburbs. The rescue zone falls under her jurisdiction. Will their paths cross? A part of him hopes that she's not there, but another part of him can't help but pray that if she is hurt, he'll be the one to treat her. The rescue operation lasts for 2 grueling days and nights. On the 3rd day, just before dawn, Grayson slumps against the stack of supplies in the temporary tent. He's utterly drained. "Did you evacuate everyone from Zone 2? A voice asks from behind. Grayson is too exhausted to turn. "Dr. Zane, you're here too." Fatigue crashes over Grayson like a wave. Finally, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out his phone. "Dr. Zane, she remembered me." He shows Zane the phone screen. There's a chaotic post-battle streak picture with the following caption. "The moment my heart started beating again. So cool." "See, this post is about me. And earlier, when I was unloading supplies, she volunteered to help. She said I should take care of my hands because I'm a surgeon." After a second of silence, Zane responds, "And you let her take the box?" "Why not?" In the unseen shadows, Zane cracks a faint smile. The hint of weariness beneath it escapes Grayson, who's drunk on his romance. "Letting the girl you like do all the heavy lifting. You're quite the charmer." "Hey, she's stronger than me. I struggle with 1 box, and she carries 2 with ease." Recalling his earlier helicopter struggle, Grayson adds, "Speaking of which, Miss Hunter's job is so dangerous. Shouldn't you try to convince her to be less reckless?" The response comes in faint breaths in the cold air. It seems Zane has fallen asleep. There's another question burning in Grayson's mind. If something happened to Miss Hunter, what would Dr. Zane do? But then he remembers the faint scars crisscrossing on Zane's hands. With his superior medical skills, powerful evol, and unwavering resolve, Grayson knows Zane wouldn't let anyone get hurt, especially when it's someone he cares about. Even today, during a rescue break, Zane had once again saved people from wanderers. Only Zane can truly stand beside Miss Hunter in battle. Grayson glances down at his own hands. They're ordinary surgeon hands, and they don't have strong evil at their disposal. What could he do? The tent becomes colder. Grayson closes his eyes and surrenders to the encroaching darkness. Chapter 4. Snow Velvet. The emergency rescue operation throws the Arctic hunter's surgery back 2 days. Thankfully, everything went smoothly. The next day, Grayson follows Zane. They're going to do a checkup on the hunter. Restless after complaining about an overkill treatment, the patient is now stuck in bed. He's bored out of his mind as daily status updates for Mount Eternal's protofield appear on the projector. As Zane and Grayson enters the room, he throws out a casual question. Can I still be a hunter? It catches Grayson off guard. He throws a worried glance at the snagging blanket that covers the hunter's leg. He looks to Zane for an answer. Yes, Zane replies, as long as you promise to avoid getting injured again. I'll try my best. Trying isn't good enough. It's good you have Dr. Zane here. Otherwise, what you might have lost wouldn't be... Zane throws a look at Grayson. Recovering his composure, Grayson uses his professional tone. Movement can increase blood flow. If you're planning to be out on the field, you should schedule more frequent checkups. Also, the Crozina needs to be replaced regularly. Fine. When can I get out of here? No longer sad, the hunter's impatience returns to what it was before his surgery. Grayson is upset. Physical therapy starts in 2 weeks. And then the stitches come out in 4 weeks. As for bionic exoskeleton, that will be 6 to 8 weeks. It depends on how your wounds heal. Zane remains calm as he lays out the recovery timeline. The 8-week wait makes the hunter frown, but Zane cuts him off before he can protest. There are 2 ways out of here, walking or rolling. You'll experience the walking part soon, but if you want to keep hunting, follow the doctor's orders. Otherwise, you may be rolling out of the hospital. A chill runs through the room, and frost seemingly appears on the window. The hunter gulps and nods, clearly getting the message. A week later, Grayson enters the room for the Arctic hunter's final checkup. The good news is that the residual metaflux remained contained for 2 weeks. The cryozena is working perfectly, so the surgery was a success. Congratulations. Off to physical therapy you go, and then you'll be back on the battlefield in no time. He supports the hunter by offering an elbow. They stroll through the sun-drenched hospital garden. So, Dr. Grayson, did anything happen with that hunter girl? She asked me out. We'll be having dinner together on my next day off, he smiles. But a flicker of concern crosses his face as the hunter winces with every step. Are you worrying about seeing her again? Yeah. I can't help it. Your guys' job is dangerous. As they step into the elevator, a memory resurfaces. Their first encounter a month ago. It was right here that the hunter's voice boomed in protest against a kidnapping. But now... what's there to be scared of? We got you guys watching our backs. The hunter remains nonchalant about potential risks. Grayson is infuriated again. Hey, we're just regular, hardworking doctors. The way you charge into danger and face all those risks almost scares us to death. Passing by Zane's office, the hunter stops in his tracks. Is the glacier face doc in? I owe him a thank you. He usually takes a break around this time, Grayson says, but the determined hunter throws open the door before he can finish. The office thermostat must be on the fritz. Grayson can't help but shiver. A booming voice interrupts the silence as the Arctic hunter utters a "whoa" in front of Zane's desk. Isn't this snow velvet? Don't touch it! Grayson rushes forward, pushing away the hunter's finger before it brushes against the delicate flower. You know what that is? Well, of course I do. It's rare stuff, even in the Arctic. It only grows on the northern cliffs of Mount Eternal. Not just anyone can go there, but that's where you can find the cleanest snow. Something's been happening in the mountains lately, though. The wildlife is practically extinct. It makes me wonder if the glacier face got some kind of hobby for saving pretty things. Chapter 5. A Long Night. After the Arctic hunter was discharged, this year's hunter data from the medical examination has finally been analyzed. Zane assesses Grayson the task of writing the report for the hunter's heart health. Buried in the data, Grayson discovers a worrying trend. A large number of hunters are showing signs of type Y protocore syndrome, more than the usual amount seen in previous years. This syndrome involves metaflux that hides in various organs and systems, with a long latency period and slow progression. By the time it's detected, it's often too late. There are currently no known cures. He flags this potential risk to the Hunters Association. Andrew from the data analysis takes it all in stride. He politely replies that they'll tweak their algorithms based on these hunters' past missions to minimize the risks. Grayson can't help but think Andrew was a little too composed sometimes, especially after hearing him say, "This is all we can do for now." It hits a little too close to home. The night shift at the inpatient building is like a giant circulatory system. Blood and breath move silently through the hall. Souls slumber in the small white cubes lining the corridors. Grayson feels like he's gone adrift, a lone white blood cell wandering a weary body. And the only beacon in the night? Zane's office, of course. That ever-vigilant lighthouse keeper guards the shores of life. Does he even feel the weight of the helplessness? Lost in thought, Grayson pushes open the office door. Light spills from the computer screen, his gaze drawn to the snow velvet on the desk as he approaches. This flower. Bending down, Grayson sees the snowball-like buds that Zane saved. The plant had started to bloom, but now it's drooping. The stem had twisted and shrinking against the white porcelain. A single wilted petal falls and lands on the black ice crystals nestled in the pot. He remembers the pristine white snow used to be there. Dr. Zane? The cold computer light casts an unsettling glow over the scene. It inexplicably reminds him of the frigid tent that they were in just a few weeks back. It was morning, yet the light seemed to have been filtered through a thick black veil. Drowsy and disoriented, he vaguely remembers a faint voice. It was a conversation with Dr. Zane that lingers just out of reach. The sterile office gloom makes him come to his senses, and Grayson searches for Zane. He takes in the scattered case files on the desk and the chair that's facing the door. It's a scene that screams of a hurried exit. An emergency surgery. Before panicked thoughts overwhelm Grayson's mind, the office door opens with a click. Zane enters, rubbing his knuckles against his brow. I was passing by and decided to walk in. Dr. Zane, your flower. A harsh chill seems to emanate from Zane as he approaches the desk. His hand reaches out to touch the wilted snow velvet. He hesitates, his hand remaining suspended in midair, as if held back by an invisible force. It seems beyond saving. Zane gathers the case files and talks with Grayson about the checkups tonight. The conversation drifts to the hunter Grayson's been crushing on. She said worst case scenario happens and somebody needs to perform CPR. Even if it means breaking her ribs and her heart stops for 6 minutes. And they don't give up. She wants it to be me. Zane offers a knowing smile. They both understand the unspoken question of what lies beyond those 6 minutes. Dr. Zane, when we declare someone gone, in the eyes of their family, are we guardian angels or the Grim Reaper? It's an unanswered question that hangs in the air. Zane can't help but glance at the desk. A few fragile petals of snow velvet fall, only with its tiny heart still desperately clinging to life amidst the black ice crystals. World Underneath. 10. Mischief. Chapter 1. Rule number 1. 2046, early spring. Good evening, listeners. We're talking to you live on Combat Zone FM. I'm your host. The armored truck veers onto a deserted road under the moonlight. The signal fades in and out, and the vehicle's radio crackles. Let's talk about ambushes tonight. Linton, the driver, steps on the gas. The moving truck gradually picks up speed, its cabin swaying and creaking as if it's on its last legs. He glances at the door leading to the back of the vehicle. The curtain is drawn and obscures the interior. It's quiet, and nothing seems amiss. At least, that's what he tells himself. His job is just to drive. The cargo back there is just under the direct supervision of Ever's researchers. It's none of his business. He's been doing this for years without incident. Tonight, however, is different. Maybe it's the pitch-black surroundings and the quiet road. Or perhaps it's the violent swaying of the truck and its bone-chilling creaks. Whatever the reason, Linton can't shake off this uneasy feeling. To drown it, he reaches out and turns up the radio. Here's the first rule for a successful ambush. Conceal your strengths. Just as the radio host finishes speaking, a young, amused voice resounds behind Linton's ears. Well, he's not wrong. Linton's heart nearly stops. He slams on the brakes. The inertia throws them forward, and the person behind him playfully lunges at Linton. A cold, sharp metal blade is pressed against his collar, and thus his neck. You want to live? I'll give you 5 minutes. Run. The young man's voice is chillingly playful, reminiscent of a child taunting caged animals at a zoo. It'd be infuriating if Linton weren't paralyzed with fear. He glanced back to see the door to the cargo area is wide open. A nauseating stench of blood wafts out. Inside, a few motionless researchers are drenched in crimson. They're clearly beyond help. In the center of the compartment, 2 sets of restraints that should have secured a person have been cut open. The escapee now crouches beside him, his blade brandished. Only one thought races through Linton's mind. Run. He stumbles into an alley. It's so dark that not even the moon casts its light there. He crouches behind a large dumpster, his heart pounding so violently that he swears he can hear his nerves screaming. Time's up. I hope you found a good spot. Footsteps echo at the alley's entrance and are accompanied by the young man's cheerful laughter. Linton swallows, hugging his knees and willing himself to become inconspicuous like a discarded piece of trash. Through a small gap, he peeks out. He sees a slender figure, tall for his age, moving with unnervingly carefree steps as he searches and talks. If it weren't for the shining blade in his hand and the blood staining his clothes, Linton could almost believe this was just some harm-free game of hide-and-seek. Tap, tap, tap. The sound of footsteps on the pavement fades into the distance. Linton allows himself to breathe and shakily stands up. Something moves in his periphery, but when he turns to look, there's nothing but darkness. It's over, Linton reassures himself. Not quite. The voice chuckles. The laugh is like a cold hand tapping Linton's shoulder. His legs give way, and he tumbles as he turns. Terrified, he stares at the figure emerging from the shadows. You... But I heard you... Walk away? The young man grins, seemingly in high spirits. Your ears must not be working. I never left. Impossible. Terror floods Linton's mind. Without thinking, he scrambles to his feet and dashes to the unobstructed exit. Not so fast. You didn't think it'd be that easy, did you? Another figure suddenly appears and blocks Linton's last escape route. Linton finally understands what's happening. 2 individuals with identical faces have him cornered from both sides. They wear the same sly grins, and they fiddle with their blades in perfect unison. Allow me to do the introductions. I'm Luke, and the one behind you is my shadow, Kirian. We were gonna let you off the hook, but someone snitched on us to the guards when we tried to escape last time. That was you, right? Linton breaks into a cold sweat. No, it wasn't. I just... Okay, save your excuses. Kirian, holding a blade, rests his cold hand on Linton's shoulder again, which sends another shiver down his spine. People will say anything when they're begging for their lives. One of the researchers told us how sorry they felt for us. You think we believe that? Luke, do you want to do the honors, or shall I? I'll do it. Any last words? On second thought, don't bother. I'm not really in the mood to listen. Kirian sits cross-legged in the filthy alley, resting his chin on his hand as he watches Luke pin Linton against the wall and press the blade to his throat. In the darkest hours of the night, the spurting blood vanishes, and so, the final cry of a life on death's door is swallowed by the darkness. Monozygotic twin comparative test record. Subject ID 808. Subject names Luke, Kirian. Age 16. Experimental side effects log. Subjects mutually influence each other's visual, pain, and auditory senses. Here are examples of this phenomenon. 1. The subject Luke can see images within Kirian's field of vision, and vice versa. 2. The subjects Luke and Kirian can experience the same level of pain at the same time. 3. Evaluation results. After the protocore exposure, both subjects show rejection reactions. A transformation occurring within 3 months is highly possible. Comprehensive risk assessment far exceeds standard values. Subjects are to be transferred to the disposal site for termination. Notes. The disposal site is adjacent to the N109 zone. Researchers must complete the firearms request form and collect weapons for self-defense before leaving. Transformation within 3 months. That's a fancy way of saying we won't live past 3 months. Kirian wipes the blood from his face and hands Luke a dirt-smudged document from the ground. After skimming it, Luke shrugs and nonchalantly scratches his chin. It's just a prediction, right? They might be wrong. Didn't someone outlive their estimate before? The younger one of the 303 twins? Fee something? I can't remember. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We finally made it out. And if we only have 3 months left... Luke leans in against the armored truck. He raises an eyebrow. Then, his eyes widen as he looks at Kirian, and he pounds his fist on the hood excitedly. What is it? Based on that reaction alone, Kirian knows his brother's mind is probably concocting another scheme to turn the world upside down. Since we're on borrowed time anyway, why don't we go out with a bang? How about doing something epic in the last 3 months? Eager, Kirian leans in. Despite Luke's ideas always ending up in messes that he has to clean up, the prospect of doing something epic still holds an irresistible allure. Well, what do you have in mind? Check this out. Luke points to the name N109 Zone in the notes section of the document. Do you remember Silas? The guy the researchers mentioned before? The protocore smuggler? Yeah, that ruthless boss of Anakinus? Exactly. Excited, Luke hops onto the hood of the truck. Let's kill him. Nothing can be more epic than that, right? Kirian bursts into a fit of laughter. What if he's 100 times stronger than us? If we try to kill him, wouldn't that be... even more fun? They exclaim in unison. But Kirian quickly suppresses his bubbling excitement. He tries to be sensible. Wouldn't it be easier for Silas to kill us than for us to kill him? So what? Luke sits cross-legged. the enthusiasm in his voice gradually fading and being replaced with calm. Have you seen the ones who's transformed? I'd rather get killed and die early than become something like that. After a long silence, Kyrian nods. He crumples up the document and tosses it behind him. True. We could count ourselves lucky if we get killed by him. You ready? Let's go. In the depths of the night, two brothers walk side by side down a path that leads a person away from all light. It lazily stretches into the horizon. I hope this Silas guy turns out to be interesting. Chapter 2. Rumor. Here's the second rule of a successful ambush. Know your enemy. It's been 14 days since Luke and Kyrian arrived in the N109 zone. For the past 2 weeks, they've heard all sorts of rumors about Silas. I heard Silas had been in cahoots with Wanderers for ages. He's just waiting for the right moment to blow up the N109 zone. Well, they say Silas has a permanent luxury suite at the Salon Hotel. The walls are stuffed with bodies of his enemies. It's haunted at night. Oh, I heard Silas is the son of that stock market tycoon from Lincoln City. Really? Someone told me Silas is the stock market tycoon himself. Kyrian doubles over from laughing, but his hands never stop crafting darts. So, did you find out what Silas actually looks like? They say he doesn't have a fixed appearance. He wears a new face every day. No one has ever seen his real appearance. Luke can't help but chuckle at his own words. Before he can finish laughing, Kyrian chimes in. Well, I heard he's quite young, but he has to drink the blood of teenagers every day just to maintain his human form. Laughter fills the small house they've claimed as their temporary home once more. Most buildings in the N109 zone are renovated from previously derelict structures. In the shadows where neon lights from the bustling streets don't reach, it's easy to find a vacant space that's not too dilapidated. It's perfect for two unexpected visitors new to the area. But Luke and Kyrian aren't the only new faces. Every day, people like them flood into the N109 zone. Lately, their neighbors have been multiplying. Some disappear after a few encounters, never to be seen again. Others schedule a get-together one night and fail to show, only for the twins to learn the next day that they died 2 blocks over. The N109 zone is like a beast lurking in the darkness. Its maw is wide open to devour anyone who stumbles in. Here, death is just a matter of time. The only way to cheat it is to find the master of the savage beast, and his name is Silas. In their 2 weeks here, amid all the far-fetched rumors, everyone seems to agree on only one thing: kill him, replace him, or become his subordinate. Last night, someone told me Silas is celebrating his 80th birthday today. The party's at... The ice maker in the room suddenly interrupts Luke's dubious rumor. It's the only appliance in the house that still works. Luke waits next to it. He scoops up 2 ice cubes as they fall and pops them into his mouth. He turns back. You want some ice? Kyrian waves his hand. Ice reminds me of when I get beat up. I'll pass. Laughter fills the room as Luke tosses an ice cube at Kyrian before plopping on the couch and crossing his legs. Serves you right. Years ago, during their first escape attempt, Kyrian had gotten into a scuffle with the guards and ended up with a mouthful of blood. 2 weeks in solitary confinement couldn't break him. He endured the pain in a stubborn silence and refused all medical treatment. In the adjacent cell, Luke yelled at him. Next time you decide to play tough guy before the medical staff, could you maybe ask me beforehand? I'm also in pain. During that time, Luke developed his love for ice. It was to initially numb the pain that wasn't his own, and it later developed into a thrill for the cold. Kyrian, after his 2-week confinement, took the lesson to heart. The day his punishment ended, he exacted his revenge with a dart he made. After that, crafting darts became a hobby. It brought him joy. Remember Sherman? He's the guy we met at Elysium. Kyrian quickly shakes off the cold and picks up where he left off. Yeah, the peacock. How could I forget? Anyone who can strut around the N109 zone like that and still breathe must have some serious support. Luke crunches the ice in his mouth. You think Silas is behind him? What are we waiting for then? Let's find him. He's about to bolt out the door when Kirian, as if he's done this a million times, grabs his collar and pulls him back. He presses the finished darts into Luke's hand before releasing him. Now we can go. I've been tailing Sherbin for a while. Anna Kindness is about to attend an important business meeting. Silas might be there. We should check it out. Luke pockets the darts and pushes his slightly overgrown hair to the back. When he opens the door, he notices Kirian tying his hair back into a short ponytail. After thinking for a bit, Luke ties his hair back in the same style. Nighttime, on the rooftop across from the Salon Hotel. In the luxury suite, where the deal is being discussed, the curtains are half drawn. Through the gap, a hand with elegant, pronounced knuckles is visible. It idly taps on the leather armrest. A velvet box is humbly presented to the hand's owner. The individual pauses before leisurely waving his fingers. Someone with a differential demeanor takes the box away. Although the hanging curtains obscure the faces of everyone in the room, it's not difficult to discern who bears the name Silas. It's as legendary as it is dangerous based on that interaction. Across the street, and perched on the edge of the rooftop, two figures watch them as if they were a movie. Luke, his eyes alight with excitement, points out something. Silas isn't carrying a weapon. Isn't he afraid of someone making a move? His question is swiftly answered. The differential attitude fails to save the life of Silas's business partner. Silas strikes so fast that even the rooftop audience can't follow his movements. His actions are a blur, but they see a terrified body yanked into the window by an invisible force. A mist swallows it. When it dissipates, nothing remains of the man. Oh. Silas doesn't need to carry a weapon, because he's a weapon himself. No one in the luxurious suite dares to move. The deal's participants and Silas's underlings bow and lower their heads. Silas finally stands up, and Luke and Kirian see his face. He looks indifferent, as if the scene before him isn't his doing. The ceiling light casts ominous shadows across the features as he turns. He sweeps his gaze across the street. Two brothers, spectators a few seconds ago, suddenly become alert. Their bodies react faster than their minds. They propel themselves off the ledge and into the shadows with lightning-fast speed. Did he see us? I doubt it. We're so far away from him. Is his eyesight that good? An inexplicable feeling sends a chill down their spines. After a moment, they cautiously peek out from the edge of the rooftop. Silas has already left. Did he look bored to you? Luke breaks the silence. You mean when he dealt with that guy, or when he left? Both? Kirian hadn't particularly paid attention to Silas's demeanor. Knowing Luke would keep an eye on it, he noticed something else. From the moment Silas entered the room, it was as if an invisible barrier had formed around him. No one dared to cross this unseen line to stand near him. It remained that way until the very end. He had entered alone, and he had left alone. Kirian can't help but muse out loud. Is there someone who can get close to Silas? After 2 weeks of gathering intel, he had expected Silas to be surrounded by people. Now, it seems they couldn't be farther from the truth. No allies dare to stand near him, and no enemies can stand against him. Just like the expression on his face, everything seems boring to him. No one. Luke and Kirian declare in unison. The thought of Silas living such a tedious life for a long time, while still having countless years ahead of him, stirs like a flicker of pity in their hearts. Then again, if they kill him, that's a different story. Chapter 3. Trick. This is the third rule of a successful ambush. Exploit your advantage when the enemy least expects it. For Luke and Kyrian, their advantage lies in their sameness. Identical faces, identical builds, identical movements. They're almost the same person. It's enough to lower their opponent's guard and make them believe there's only one person. This trick has never failed them. From the streets they grew up into Ever's research facility, it continues to work in the N109 zone. Whether it's purchasing necessities from someone who increases prices after glancing at Luke, fending off strangers who try to rob Kyrian of their supplies, or slipping past a merchant into a protocore warehouse. Just like their names suggest, one is always in the light and the other one is always in the shadows. One plays the conspicuous target while the other lurks in the dark, ready to strike. The side effects from the experiment have become their strengths. When they act together, they're even more coordinated than one person. On Wednesday night, the concert hall in the N109 zone's bustling district will host a grand performance. At Mr. R's invitation, an orchestra was rushed over here after their international tour. For the first time, the hall's pipe organ shed its dusty protective cover. It's not an important event, but after the hall manager repeatedly refused those willing to pay exorbitant prices for a seat, this performance and the mysterious Mr. R have become a hot topic for the N109 zone. In a corner, unnoticed by all, two inconspicuous insects quietly enter the concert hall. Kyrian is looking at two very different scenes. He crouches to hide behind the auditorium seats. Not too far away, in the center of this space, sits Silas. Kyrian can only see Silas's back. The vast concert hall stands empty save for this lone figure, and his question resurfaces. Is there someone who can get close to Silas? Yet Silas sits there. He's resting his eyes and waiting for the concert to begin like a normal person would. Kyrian knows that the concert's start will inevitably be delayed because of the other scene he's looking at. Through Luke's eyes, he sees the dressing room where the impeccably dressed conductor and orchestra members are bound one by one. Sheet music has been stuffed in their mouths to muffle any cries. After his hard work, Luke dusts himself off and bends down to retrieve a fallen dart. These pack a punch. The protocores really do make a difference. He's in awe. The protocore makes the dart feel a bit awkward to hold, but it's tolerable. Luke shakes his hand and checks himself in the mirror. Something's missing. He yanks the conductor's jacket off and puts it on. Should I go on stage with this? Their ability to converse effortlessly, even when apart, is perhaps the most useful side effect. It's a little too big. Try that violinist outfit, the one from the third row. Oh, this is a lot better. Ready? Wait. Luke takes a step forward to the stage before stopping. He turns his back to the dressing room and picks up an ice cube from the wine bucket on the table. He pops it into his mouth and crunches it. Now I'm ready. Just before he goes on stage, he hears Kyrian's voice again. Before we do this, any last words? Nope. I have nothing to say. It's pointless anyway. They're still going to die. They might as well save the energy and wear a smile instead. Let's do this. The lights in the hall dim as the performance is scheduled to begin at this time. The curtain slowly rises and a spotlight switches on with a click. Luke is on stage with a few quick strides and stops before Silas. There's no music, but Silas doesn't open his eyes. It's as if he anticipated this. Luke's excitement grows. His hand, initially reaching for the dart, changes course on a whim. He grabs two small circular devices hidden at his waist and flings them at Silas. Mind if I borrow 3 minutes of your time? Let me have a go at killing you before the concert starts. His words echo through the hall. The small projectiles hurtled at Silas are suspended in the soft mist around him. The person who stopped them within his power hasn't even lifted a finger yet. Luke grins. You might want to open your eyes. It could get messy, even for the Onakainis' boss man. As soon as he closed his mouth, the spheres, squeezed by the black-red mist, suddenly burst. With a loud splash, water drenches the seats around Silas. Silas opens his eyes, his finger on his temple. Luke shrugs. I told you. What's your motive? Silas's nonchalant question echoes through the concert hall. My reason for wanting to kill you? Huh. Luke rubs his face and pretends to be deep in thought. In the N109 zone, a lot of people want Silas for dead. For profit, revenge, or because they're weak. He wonders if a spur-of-the-moment decision would pique the curiosity of this man who leads Onakainis. But he decides to drag it out, at least for the show. That way he can buy time for Kyrian, who's moving stealthily through the shadows. As their conversation continues, Kyrian silently positions himself. Now directly behind Silas, he holds several darts between his fingers. They're aimed at Silas's cardiac artery. Through Luke's eyes, he monitors Silas's movements and confirms the man's attention is fixed on Luke, who's still fumbling for an answer. He's oblivious to Kyrian's presence. Kyrian bends his knee and prepares to lunge. And then, before he moves, he hears Silas's derisive chuckle. If you want to kill me, at least use a method that's less boring. From a distance, Kyrian senses Luke's body go rigid on stage. He quickly realizes why Luke reacted that way. It's because of him. At some point, 2 wisps of black-red mist have enveloped his body. Although they looked easy to shake off, they pinned him in place. He can't move. How did Silas notice him? Restraining one of them effortlessly subdues the other one. The owner of this power closes his eyes once more. The twins are then lifted into the air and hurled out of the concert hall, one after the other. The hall's doors slam shut, the lingering echo of a composed mockery of their failed attempt. Huh? The twins scratch their heads before checking their necks, arms, and legs. They stare blankly at the concert hall's opulent chandelier before reality finally sinks in. Silas didn't kill us. Still shocked, Kyrian sits up reluctantly. That's the first time we've ever been caught. Luke, still sprawled in the position he landed, tugs at Kyrian's arm. But did you hear what he said? What? He called us boring. Chapter 4. Thrill Seeker. The fighting arena in the N109 zone lurks behind the facade of a 5-story building with neon lights. An oversized ring that surpasses expectations will greet you once you enter. Spectator seats climb the surrounding walls, and the highest one is perched almost perpendicular to the ring. At first glance, it looks like a fortress or lair of some ferocious beast. Noticing the members of Onakainis frequenting the place lately, Luke and Kyrian tear down the recruitment flyers plastered outside and knock on the door. Get lost. We're not hiring. You're as skinny as a rail. I bet you 2 would die 100 times before landing even a single punch. The door slams shut. The burly arena owner glares at them through the small window before stomping downstairs. Kyrian chuckles. A rail? We're scarecrows at least. The next morning, Luke and Kyrian are back and knock on the door to the arena. The owner answers, cursing under his breath. He freezes. The arena's fighters, mysteriously missing since dawn, are sprawled on the ground, clutching their stomachs and whimpering. The 2 young men, he turned away yesterday, grin. So, about your staff shortage? The reason for Onakainis' frequent visits soon become clear. On Wednesday night, the members of Anakinus storm into an arena with one goal: to take this place down. As the two groups clash in the arena with their weapons drawn, the leader of Anakinus materializes in the place with the best view. He surveys the chaos below, unperturbed. Amidst the mayhem, the twins, having already shed their fighter outfits, move behind him. They exchange glances. Then, two get down on one knee. Here's the fourth rule of a successful ambush. Swiftly abandon flawed tactics and use new strategies to confuse your opponent. Boss, we want to be your followers. Noticing Silas's silence, the two continue to speak. We'll be your blades, boss. We'll handle all the dirty work you can't be bothered with. Whether it's assassinations or heists, or pranks and scheming, we'll take care of it, boss. Our loyalty is yours. And approaching footsteps interrupt their unsolicited oath. The tip of Silas's shoes appear in Luke and Kirian's vision, and intimidation washes over them. Kirian looks at Luke from the corner of his eyes. He sees the barely contained excitement in his brother's gaze. What will Silas do next? Luke is waiting for it. And Kirian realizes his own expression must mirror his twins. From the moment they were born, they were the same. They don't need mirrors. Simply looking at each other is enough to know their own faces. I have no use for trash, Silas states. A knife clatters to the ground between them. Prove yourselves. They look up and meet Silas's stern gaze. Below, gunfire erupts and blood splatters. The chaotic battle beckons. In less than a half an hour, the gleaming knife is stained with dark red. The twins present it to Silas. Well, the trash is on the ground now. Do you want us to do anything else? The sounds of combat have already turned into barely audible pleas for mercy. In the vast arena, only Silas, Luke, and Kirian remain standing. The hands holding the knife slightly tremble from excitement, not fear. Fresh blood drips from the blade's tips, their palms, and their nearly identical faces. It stains the once clean spectator walkways. The knife's cold glint reflects in Silas's eyes. He tilts his chin up and slightly smirks. Now, use each other's lives to prove yourself. So that's what it was. Kirian hears laughter echoing in his mind. Luke is laughing, and he's laughing too. So that's what it was. Silas is also looking for some fun. They lost count of how many times they fought like this. Because of those side effects, their senses are bound. Fighting each other during heated arguments no longer relieves their anger. Instead, it's a form of self-torture. But they soon discover that fighting could earn them many things. Painkillers, sedatives, and if the fight was severe enough, even a pass on the next day's trials. So despite their reluctance, they became expert at fighting each other. Silas sits at the spectator seat. He watches the twins fight for the knife with an amused expression. Their faces are fierce. Their movements are swift and precise. Only when they draw near each other is there a barely perceptible hesitation, a quick exchange of glances as they try to come up with a strategy. Silas props up his chin on one hand. He can sense the brothers' true intentions. These young beasts are putting on a show. They carefully hide their fangs and claws while waiting for the right moment to throw a knife. Little do they know that their target has already grown weary of such tricks. Still, Silas stays in his seat. The persistence of these weaklings suddenly piqued his curiosity. He wants to see how this will play out. That's when the unexpected happens. The sharp sound of crystals piercing the skin fills the air. The twin holding the knife goes limp, crying out in pain as he collapses. Like snakes, black crystals crawl up his face from within his body and reach his eyes. In an instant, the other twin, seemingly unharmed, also falls to his knees because of the unbearable agony. Their show falls apart and is replaced by some onset of transformation. Chapter 5. The End. The knife tumbles to the ground and stops at Silas's feet. He bends down to pick it up. A crystal-covered hand trembles as it desperately reaches for the blade. Silas smirks and hands it over. The person before him musters all his strength to aim the knife at his heart. He tries to push it in. But he hesitates and freezes as he notices his brother, who's bound to him, curled up into a ball because of their shared agony. These two are like marionettes, tangled in invisible strings. When one transforms, the other feels inexplicable torment. Silas watches with keen interest. He wonders if this bond will remain unbroken even in the face of death. He knows this question now looms over them like a suffocating nightmare. He stays because he wants to know what they'll do. The knife's tip veers off by a few centimeters. Then, the twin slashes the knife upwards. The crystals shatter, and blood splatters onto the spectator seat. The twin abandons the thought of ending his life, and instead violently gouges out the crystals. Silas slowly claps. At least you've got some guts. He lifts the knife again, but it quickly intercepted by the other twin. Although he's unaffected by the transformation, he's forced to endure the pain due to their shared senses. Still, he grips his brother's hand. Don't worry about me. His voice lacks its usual lift and is replaced by a chilling calm. Let me help you. I'll help you. The weight behind the word help is unmistakable. Its true meaning is unspoken but clearly understood. Okay. Luke and Kyrian never realized how loud a heartbeat could be until now. Perhaps this is the noise a person hears at the end of their life. They've come to the same conclusion while the one who didn't transform struggles to control the knife. Beside them, a fiend whispers, "If you do this, you won't survive either." I'll die with him. That's his response to Silas. He takes a few deep breaths before flashing a sly grin. I don't care anyway. Is that so? A wisp of black mist suddenly plunges into the twins' chest. A more intense pain immediately follows, the trembling now mixed with fear that they've never experienced before. It's the fear of dying. Silas intends to kill them this time. It feels as if a chunk of their chest is missing, their limbs gradually numb, the cold blood building up in their throats. They shudder uncontrollably. At first, they manage to hide their terror, but as the mist grows sharper and touches their beating hearts, so this is what death feels like. The feeling of being at death's door finally breaks their resolve. Fragmented pleas escape their lips. No. The agony of their demise intensifies. Silas's towering figure blurs into a beast toying with its prey. Their internal organs feel violently constricted, their desperate desire to live drowning in pain. Panting, they spit out blood and raise their voices. Stop. I thought you had a death wish. We don't. With a derisive snort, Silas opens his palm. The mist dissipates before it claims their lives. The once bright room is plunged into darkness. A strong force surrounds the twins and shatters the growing black crystals. A ringing persists in Luke and Kyrian's ears, but the pain vanishes in a heartbeat. In the N109 zone, dying is easy, Silas says as he leaves, his tone almost teasing. Staying alive. Now that's the real proof of strength. Final chapter, Chapter 6. Twins. Boss, we're not here to kill you this time. 2 weeks have passed, and Luke and Kyrian once again stand before Silas. They've fully recovered. One was never injured in the first place, and the other's wounds, a result of gouging out the crystals, have healed. There are only grotesque scars on his face and body. Otherwise, they appear healthy. We genuinely want to be your followers. Emphasizing this statement, they drop to one knee. Silas is slightly irritated. Drop the act. After the twins exchange glances, Luke looks up with a sly grin. Actually, we're curious to see if anyone can kill you, boss. Since we couldn't do it, we want to stick around and see if someone else can. They widen their eyes soon after. If they're not mistaken, Silas flashed a cold smile tinged with anticipation. It's an expression they've never seen before. But the smile vanishes so quickly that they wonder if they imagined it. After a moment of hesitation, Luke lowers his head again and speaks in a respectful tone. Boss, that Sherman guy is suspicious. We'll keep an eye on him for you. Bowing his head, Kyrian adds, we know his address, his usual spots, and his contacts. We can report to you every 2 weeks. Go then. Those words constitute the only command they receive. Understood, boss. When they finally stand up, they realize Silas has already vanished. As they exit the base, the streets of the N109 zone remain sunless as ever. Passing a glass wall, they pause to look at their reflections. It's been years since they used a mirror, since they always use each other. It's an extra perk of being identical twins. But now, that's no longer possible. I still think twins should look like twins. Luke pulls out a backpack he's been carrying and fishes out 2 masks. He tosses one to Kyrian and puts the other one on himself. I got 303 to make these. Just found out he set up a workshop in the N109 zone. Try it. Kyrian examines the mask in his hands and holds it up to his face. It's a perfect fit. He puts it on and playfully taps Luke with the long beak of his mask. Why are we even wearing these in the first place? No reason. But with them, we're identical again. It's noon. The 2 young men walk side by side down the path that shuns all light. They stretch lazily. What do you think his smile meant? Can someone actually kill him? I'm guessing it's a no. Yeah, I don't think so either. World Underneath 11. Frontline Hunter. Chapter 1. Hunter Dispatch Center. It's the middle of the night at the Hunters Association. In the center of the room, a holographic control console displays a 3D map of Lincoln City. A blinking red dot keeps flashing at one spot. Then, a hand reaches out and silences the alert. Lincoln Hunter Dispatch Center. How may I help you? Stay calm. We have your location. Head to the nearest shelter immediately to avoid another Wanderer attack. Colin, who had been a Hunter dispatcher for 12 years, handles emergencies like it's nothing. He quickly forwards the incident details to the nearest Hunters on the map. Almost immediately, 2 small blue dots on the holographic display begin racing towards the yellow one. A timer appears overhead. 10 precious minutes for the rescue to succeed. Deployed medical teams, hazard alarms, real-time positioning now active. The dispatchers coordinate seamlessly, their hands moving swiftly across an array of holographic screens. Together, they weave an invisible safety net over Lincoln City. Finally, the yellow dot disappears from the map. The countdown stops at 8:27. Colin watches the holographic map return to normal. He sighs in relief, sorts through the information he's collected, and begins drafting his first incident report of the day. Hunter Dispatch Center Incident Report. Case number LK204X01101. Incident type, Wanderer attack. Threat level C class. Details. A single Wanderer, an elemental subspecies, appeared in the riverside of the Imperial Ring District. The target was neutralized, and the cleanup crew has been notified. No civilian casualties. Status, resolved. Reporting dispatcher, Colin. That's a typical day at the Lincoln Hunter Dispatch Center. Chapter 2. 3-Man Robbery. 6 o'clock a.m. Lights remain on all around the clock at the dispatch center. Lincoln Hunter Dispatch Center, how may I... Help! It's a wanderer! It's going to kill us! Hurry! The call has barely gone through when a frantic scream nearly bursts Colin's eardrums. Stay calm and tell me about the situation to the best of your ability, he says as he hits the location tracker. A young man's shaky voice answers. There are 3 of us, and an older lady with her groceries. A loud roar drowns him out. Then, it's followed by a blood-curdling scream. Are you still there? Hello? Hello? Colin calls out to them, but there's only silence. Next to him, the surveillance officer pulls up local traffic feeds. Captain Colin, we've contacted the hunters on patrol. They need approximately 6 minutes to get there. 6 minutes? Colin feels powerless. This is what usually happens. No matter how fast the dispatch center reacts, it still takes time for help to arrive. All they can do is provide the hunters with a clear route. And then... No, let me go. The desperate shrieks returning through the speaker makes everyone's stomach drop. Their worst nightmare is becoming a reality. Despite having heard these agonizing cries countless times before, watching a life slip away in real time can still be unsettling. Before a few dispatchers can turn away, gunfire erupts on the other end. The Wanderer lets out a last screech before falling to the ground with a heavy thud. They survived. Relieved, Colin glances at the map. He frowns when he notices the 2 blue dots are still too far away to have reached the designated site. The hunters haven't arrived. So who fired the shots? That's it? And you call this a robbery? Luckily for you, I took my gun for maintenance while I was out getting groceries. Otherwise, you'd be in real trouble. A confident female voice shouts. Robbery? Gun? Colin and his coworker exchange a look of bewilderment. Before they can say anything, panicked shouts come over the line again. Ma'am, it's standing back up. Help us. Hurry. What are you doing? Get behind me. More shots ring out. Then the Wanderer's cry fades. Colin sees the yellow dot on the map disappear. Everyone in the dispatch center stares at one another in astonishment. Moments later, the comms crackle, and the same confident voice returns. Hello? Hunter Dispatch Center? Colin responds immediately. Yes, we're here. Is anyone hurt? No injuries, but we'll need a cleanup crew for the mess. The response is quick. The Wanderer type was an A type, and it's already been dealt with. Oh, also, the security department should be dispatched. The victims were actually attempting a robbery. Please notify the special task force to investigate. Understood. And you are... The practiced precision in her response has already given them an answer. Sure enough, the seasoned, composed voice on the other end confirms his suspicion. Retired hunter, former sector, Dawn, ID number 10041. Hunter Dispatch Center Incident Report. Case number LK204X01102. Incident type, Wanderer attack. Threat level, Class C. Details. 3 young men attempted to rob a woman near a Bloomshore district market when a Wanderer, a bestial subspecies, appeared. The would-be victim eliminated the Wanderer with her own hunter-grade firearm. The woman was confirmed to be a retired hunter. Cleanup is en route, and no civilian injuries were reported. Note: the 3 subjects have been turned over to authorities for attempted robbery. Status: resolved. Reporting dispatcher, Colin. Colin finishes his reports. He glances at the clock and realizes he missed his lunch. He grabs a pack of instant noodles and heads to the break room. Noodles again? A colleague drops the latest Wanderer activity report in front of him when he returns to his desk. The Wanderers have been too active lately. Yeah, it's related to a deep space tunnel anomaly or a protocore malfunction. I hear they sent someone to investigate. Who knows what they'll find? His colleague plops into the chair next to him and sips his soy milk. Ugh, I told the cafeteria guy I wanted sugar-free. I'm cutting back on sugar. This just messed up my diet. Hey, at least we have a cafeteria. Colin smiles. The Alpha team doesn't get that luxury. True. But they're not stuck at a desk all day either. The colleague responds. Then he pauses, remembering the grueling practical assignments those people endure. Forget it. I guess I should just be... The communication device at the dispatch center buzzes again. Chapter 3. The Counterfeit Protocore Case. To Colin's surprise, a familiar voice speaks. Hey, Captain Colin. It's me, Orson. An overly ingratiating tone comes through as soon as the call connects. Can you arrest me right now? Orson, the Lincoln City Police Department's infamous repeat offender, is known for protocore smuggling. Caught countless times, he's always finding new ways to stir up trouble. As a dispatcher, Colin usually doesn't deal with criminals directly, but Orson manages to change that when his greed for protocores led him to target live wanderers. Back then, a wanderer had him crawling around like a cornered rat. Desperate, he called the dispatch center for help. Thanks to Colin's quick thinking and precise directions, he survived long enough for the hunters to arrive. Without that, he'd probably be nothing more than a bloody smear under a wanderer's claws. To show his gratitude, Orson gifted Colin a ceremonial banner that had the following: The Voice of Salvation, a dispatcher protecting life itself. You little... Didn't 5 months in jail teach you anything? Colin feels a vein bulge at the sound of that familiar voice. I swear, I'm not smuggling protocores this time. Orson stammers. I'm just... selling rock candy. That's all. Orson isn't illegally selling protocores this time. He's making rock candy that looks like protocores. Since his buyers don't dare to report him, his scam thrives. It's even disrupting the market with cheap prices. But his success doesn't go unnoticed. A crime syndicate involved in protocore smuggling has marked him as a target. Orson, you really are a piece of work, Colin says through gritted teeth. Please, Captain Colin, send over a hunter to save me. They tracked me down and outside my house with protocore weapons. If they get me, I'm good as dead. Orson's voice cracks from desperation. As much as Colin wants to ignore him, he knows he can't. Protocore smuggling isn't a minor crime. He's dealing with an organized gang armed with protocore weapons. It's far beyond what a single hunter can handle. Activate the emergency response protocol, Colin states without hesitation. Understood. The surveillance officer's fingers race over the keyboard, and the yellow dot on the holographic map flashes red. The emergency response protocol is a high-level procedure triggered only for threats equivalent to 5 or more wanderers. It requires a coordinated effort of at least 5 hunters. After issuing the order, Colin is worried about whether or not they can gather enough hunters in time. To his surprise, the mission is accepted, and almost immediately. 2 blue dots light up on the screen, and Colin lets out a sigh of relief. Good. Now we just need 3 more. His words catch in his throat as his eyes widen. The 2 blue dots are charging into the rescue zone. Send a message to intercept them right now. Colin feels his head start to pound. This is clearly a high-level mission. Are they out of their minds? Wait. Excited, the surveillance officer calls out. I think they're from unicorns. Unicorns? Are you sure? Colin whirls around. Every hunter knows about unicorns. They're the best combat unit under the Hunters Association, known for their unmatched power and fast responses. They specialize in tracking extremely dangerous wanderer incidences that regular hunters can't handle. Colin has never met them, but he heard the stories. Their elite sector is small and notoriously unconventional. One rumor claims a unicorns hunter once blew up an entire subway station just to take down a wanderer. They're definitely not the kind of people he wants to mess with. But right now, that's exactly what he needs. Captain Colin, they're here! Orson's voice crackles through the communication device. He's tense and shaky. But there's only 2 of them. Can they handle this? There are 8 or 9 guys here. Oh! Orson lets out a startled cry as chaos erupts on the other end of the communication device. It's followed by panicked screams. Orson? Orson? Colin calls out, his voice tinged with urgency. Just as everyone is holding their breath, Orson's voice comes through again. Captain Colin, the people you sent are insane. They just showed up and everyone went down. Protocore weapons? They didn't even get a chance to pull them out. Everyone in the room collectively sighs in relief. Good. We'll send out someone to pick you up. Stay put. Colin frowns and hears a strange crunching sound from the communication device. Before he can ask, a clear female voice shouts, Xavier, stop eating the evidence! Hunter Dispatch Center Incident Report. Case number LK204X01103. Incident type, protocore smuggling. Threat level, Class A. Details. Shellbake District. Orson, a repeat offender with 8 protocore smuggling charges, sought assistance from the dispatch center after facing retaliation from a crime syndicate over the sale of counterfeit protocores that were actually dyed rock candy. The involved criminal organization has successfully been apprehended. Orson, the reporting party, has been handed over to the relevant authorities for investigation of fraud. Note: a portion of the evidence is suspected to have been consumed. Status resolved. Reporting dispatcher, Colin. Chapter 4, Final Chapter. City Hero. Lincoln's Joyce Sky offers the most comprehensive selection of fresh vegetables and fresh produce at affordable prices. Colin steps out of the supermarket. He's holding a steaming box of fried chicken. He stretches, content. His busy day is finally over, and all he wants to do now is head home and enjoy some well-deserved rest. The supermarket is not far from his apartment. All it takes is a walk through the busy district and the plaza. It's rush hour, and many parents are walking with their children. The setting sun lights up their joyful figures and casts bouncing shadows on the ground. Colin pauses, unable to look away from this heartwarming scene. It's something he hasn't seen in a long time. As a survivor of the 2034 Chrono Rift catastrophe, he, like countless others, knows how hard-won today's peace is. And like many people, he chose to be a guardian of this precious tranquility. But even guardians need rest. At least for tonight. He'll relax. Mommy, there's a lollipop in the sky. As he passes a small fountain, he hears a little girl shouting excitedly to her parents and pointing up at the sky. Colin thinks the child must be imagining candy in the clouds. He glances up at the sky, but that single look makes his blood run cold. A terrifying howl cuts through the air and is followed by the screams of frightened women. For a moment, no one reacts. Then, massive figures emerge from the dust, their bodies covered in jagged black crystals. Jenny? A mother in the distance stares in horror as the spot where her daughter stood is covered in rubble. Her legs give out, and she falls to the ground. Mommy? A cry rings out. Hope flickers back into the woman's tearful eyes. Colin falls to the ground. He rolls a few times with the girl held tightly in his arms before stopping. soon as he saw the Wanderers, he dropped his fried chicken and sprinted over to save her. A sharp pain shoots through his back. He's dizzy, but he forces himself to dial a number on his communication device. Hunter Dispatch Center, how may I help? Wanderers at the Silver Bay Creek Plaza. There's 3 of them, and they're highly dangerous. Send backup. Captain Colin? The voice on the other end pauses and then adopts a serious tone. Understood. We'll contact all nearby hunters right now. Frustrated, the Wanderers shriek. They're furious that their prey has escaped. Their massive forelimbs, reminiscent of bulldozer blades, dig into the ground. They surge towards them again. Clutching the child to his chest, Colin rolls to the side. The monster's limb sweeps past them. It was close enough to graze his scalp. He shudders as he thinks about what would have happened if he had been a second slower. A powerful shockwave hurls Colin through the air. His vision darkens and the world spins uncontrollably. He manages to lift his head. He sees another wanderer towering right in front of him. The ground trembles beneath its cry. Its massive compound eyes glint coldly as they turn downward. Energy particles gather in this gaping maw. Just a little longer. Colin clenches his fists. He forces himself to stay conscious. Rescue should be here any... Gunshots suddenly ring out in quick succession. A beam of light slices through the Wanderer's attacks as 2 figures leap before Colin. Captain Jenna, we've arrived at the designated location. Colin's eyes snap open to the sound of a clear, authoritative female voice. A young man and woman stand before him. Their movements were swift like shooting stars. After finishing her report, the female hunter lowers her communication device and quickly checks on Colin. Confirming he's unhurt, she raises her weapon again. Let's move, Xavier. Without waiting, she dashes forward like an arrow. The male hunter, now a glowing blur, is right behind her. The Wanderer gathers energy particles in its maw again. It's preparing to launch another attack. But the female hunter is faster. She leaps onto the monster's shoulder and fires her gun at point-blank range. At the same time, her partner's light blade pierces the creature's weak spot. The 2 hunters kill the Wanderer before it can even deploy its protofield. Stunned, Colin can only watch in silence. What seemed like a deadly threat moments ago now lies in pieces at their feet. They must be from unicorns. It's not long before the Wanderers are eliminated. As the last one collapses, applause and cheers erupt from the gathered crowd. Colin claps and puts extra effort into it. Let's go, Xavier, the female hunter says to her partner. The young man nods and picks up the hot pot ingredients he dropped during the fight. Watching their figures disappear into the distance, Colin suddenly feels that unicorns' eccentric methods doesn't seem so strange anymore. At least they kept Lincoln City safe. A gentle tug on his sleeve interrupts his thoughts. Looking down, he sees the little girl that he rescued staring at him. Come here, mister. I want to tell you something. She beckons him closer with a secretive look on her face. Amused, Colin crouches down. What is it? Without warning, the girl throws her arms around him. She's hugging him. Thank you, mister. Thank you for protecting me, she says with a serious expression on her face. Colin watches her skip back to her family. A lump forms in his throat. He lowers his head and rubs his nose to hide his emotions. His gaze falls back on the box of fried chicken lying where he had dropped it earlier. The first thing he needs to do is rest properly tonight.